Hey guys, this is Typhonus, and today I'll be showing you guys how to build a competitive deck in Hearthstone without having to spend a dime. Now, a lot of players might be turned off by Hearthstone since they feel like they have a lot of catching up to do with the current meta. Now, it is true that you have to catch up, especially if you're just starting out. You have to play in order to have the currency to be able to buy or craft the cards that you need. It's a mechanic that you can't get around since players that are currently invested in the game have to feel like they are compensated for their time. It doesn't mean though that new players can't catch up. If you follow these simple tips along with some patience, you'll be building a competitive deck in no time. First up is to set your expectations first. Now, you probably won't get a competitive deck for the current expansion since you're just starting out. The currency needed to purchase extra card packs comes from gold and arcane dust. You get gold from winning games and doing quests, and you get arcane dust from disenchanting duplicate cards. None of these will be available to you when you're just starting out, so be patient. Another thing to remember is that you will be saving up for the next expansion. An expansion typically lasts 4 months. It won't be realistic to create a competitive deck for the current expansion given that most competitive decks are made up of different cards from previous expansions. You will most likely not have the gold or dust to be able to create an effective deck for the current expansion. Next up is you will lose a lot. Given that you start out with a vanilla deck, going up in the ladder will be pretty tough. You have to remember that you're just starting out and losing is part of the game. Finally, you will only be focusing on one competitive deck. Trying to create multiple competitive decks, especially when you're just starting out, will be very difficult since you have limited resources. Focus on building a deck that can get you up the ladder. Next up is do quests. Make sure that you do daily quests and complete them consistently. These quests are an excellent source of gold. You'll most likely get anywhere between 50 to 100 gold a day, depending on the quest. Also, look out for Challenge a Friend quest. These quests require you to challenge a fellow player on your friend list. Upon completion, you both get 80 gold. But rather than challenging a friend with no quest to complete yours, why not challenge someone with the same quest? Look for Hearthstone Discord groups and post there whenever you're looking for another player with the same quest. Both of you will end up with double the usual reward. Another good source for card packs is the weekly Tavern Brawl. In addition to being fun, it's a level playing field since most of you have access to the same amount of cards. Also, Tavern Brawl games count towards completing your quests, so make sure to take advantage of that, especially if you're having a hard time completing them in casual or ranked play. Finally, every time an expansion starts, Blizzard typically gives free card packs that usually contain a legendary, so don't forget to log in. Once in a while, Hearthstone has celebrations like the Fire Festival, where you earn double gold, so be sure to look out for them. Our next topic is crafting. Now that you've saved up all this arcane dust for the new expansion, it's time to start crafting. First thing you have to remember is do not craft common cards. Every time you open a card pack, you are guaranteed 4 commons and 1 rare, meaning you have a very high chance of completing all the commons for the current expansion. Don't waste your dust on something that you will most likely end up getting anyway. As for rares, well, it's on a case-to-case basis, but typically, I don't craft them unless I'm having really bad luck. Save your dust for crafting legendaries and epics, since they're the hardest to obtain. Finally, if you have any golden cards, make sure to disenchant them unless you don't have any normal copies. Golden cards typically give you double the amount of arcane dust when disenchanted, so it's definitely a big help to players just starting out. I personally don't keep any golden cards since I'm not too concerned with aesthetics. If you've done all that I've mentioned in this guide, you will most likely end up with at least 2400 dust by the end of the season, and hopefully a legendary or two from opening card packs. Last up is deck building. Before you start crafting cards, make sure to decide which decks you want to play. Since we're talking about competitive decks, it helps to check out which are the top ones in the meta now. Check out sites such as hsreplay.net or metastats.net to get an idea of what the top decks are. Some of them have a breakdown on how much dust you will need to complete them, so choose carefully and within your budget. Also, if you're building your deck when the season just starts, it's usually wise to wait a couple of weeks for the meta to settle down, as deck rankings can change very quickly. Notice that I didn't talk about Arena. Arena is a very viable way of obtaining extra card packs in gold. You can go that route if you wish, but this guide is mostly for people that are just starting out. And that about wraps it up for this guide. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video.